Hey there, I'm Andy Morgan. I'm the pastor at UKirk here at UT Knoxville, and this is the Sermon Bite. It's our sort of gift to the internet community. It's a small portion of the sermon that we wrestled with at worship last week. So we're in the midst of this sermon series called The Adventures of Hipster Jesus, and what it means to be is a time to kind of explore all the lesser known stories of Jesus. And what I found to be true is most stories about Jesus are pretty lesser known within a campus community, but what we're trying to do here is kind of explore some of the stories that maybe wouldn't be a part of the children's Bible. So the first story that we did was the feeding of the 4,000, and if you're thinking, did he mean the feeding of the 5,000? No, I mean the feeding of the 4,000, which occurs in Mark and Matthew. So what the feeding of the 4,000 is about when it occurs in those two Gospels, it comes after the feeding of the 5,000, and the feeding of the 5,000 location is sort of in a Jewish area on the west side of the Sea of Galilee. The feeding of the 4,000 occurs on the east side of the Sea of Galilee in an area that's really sort of Gentile heavy. And so Jesus goes over there, and as you read the story, it's like Jesus, again, had compassion on these people. He, said, hey, these folks are hungry, let's figure it out. He already did this before. And at first glance, it can kind of be this sort of mundane rehash of a story, kind of like the Marvel universe, just rehashing the same old thing all the time. But it's a really, really important story if we really pay close attention to what's happening, and especially who Jesus is doing this miracle in the midst of. We didn't get hung up on the miracle itself. I think, you can talk about the miracle and of feeding and try to figure out like how that happened, but I think when you do that, you sort of miss the point. But the point to us, and at least in our experience with this story, the point of the story of the feeding of the 4,000 is this amazing boundary-breaking way that Jesus goes to an area that is definitely not part of what one would expect God's community to look like. So when Jesus is in the midst of the feeding of the 5,000 on the west side of the Sea of Galilee, those are like his people. And so the feeding of the 4,000 for us makes us ask the question, who are our people? And what does it mean to be a person of faith who continually has to ask, who are our people? What does it mean to be a people who continually have to ask, who are our people, and how can we expand our people? So for the folks in this early Jewish Christian movement that Jesus was doing, that he was a part of and he spearheaded, that would have been really difficult. It would have been really hard for them to kind of wrap their heads around folks who were not Jewish being a part of this amazing thing God was doing. And I think for us, the feeding of the 4,000 is provocative, and it should, for us, make us question who are our people and who needs to be our people. Where do we need to go? Where do we need to locate ourselves so that folks who haven't heard or experienced the love and the hospitality and the forgiveness and grace of God yet, how can we go to places and help folks experience that? How can we expand this amazing thing that God is doing on earth in the midst of our own locations? So that's what we talked about with feeding of the 4,000. This next week we're going to be doing a story where Jesus throws shade at people, and I'm excited about that. But thank you for watching the Sermon Bite.